The Breakfast Brunch is a really weird episode of Victorious. It honestly feels more like a fever dream than a coherent episode of the show. And personally, I find it a bit odd that Nickelodeon, a network for kids mind you, would create an entire episode of Victorious based off an R-rated film that released 27 years before the episode premiered. And on top of that, the entire thing is one huge reference to The Breakfast Club, an 80s movie considered a classic by many and clocked as being pretty overrated by others, like myself. This episode is just so freaking weird that it almost feels like it shouldn't be canon. Sure, Dan Schneider does a good job of fitting a massive amount of references to the original film into a 22-minute episode, but he became so preoccupied with the question of could he, that he didn't stop to think about should he? Because in order to fit all of the references he does into a 22-minute episode, he had to completely sacrifice the episode having any kind of coherent plot in any capacity. Seriously, if you try watching the Victorious episode and you haven't seen the original Breakfast Club film, then good luck and God bless. So today, I decided it was time to expose this episode for the pure insanity that it really is, while also trying to call out every single reference to the original film that I managed to find. And if you think of any that I missed, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'm sure you will. As always, if you guys like this video, be sure to throw us a like and maybe even subscribe. I might just chomp a piece of chewed gum from under the public park bench if you do. And if you have any other episodes or shows you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. All right, let's dive in. So within seconds of the episode starting, we're already getting references slammed down our throats. The episode starts off with a glass shattering effect, which can also be seen in the beginning of the original film. The episode also starts with a terrible rendition of the iconic song Don't You parentheses Forget About Me parentheses, which is used as the credits song in the original film. Sorry, Tori, but this ain't no best friend's brother. In fact, it's assaulting my eardrums. Tori opens her locker and there's a photo of Dan Schneider taped to the door for some reason. Disgusting. We get a few more visual references before there is even any dialogue in this episode. In the original movie, I'm eating my head is carved into a chair. In this episode, Dirty Dan's foot obsession made him change it to my head is eating my foot. It's literally not even a joke or clever wordplay. It's just foot added to the phrase. What's funny about that? A replica of the library statue from the original film can also be seen in the intro of this episode. In the original movie, the Man of the Year pictures are shown on the wall, which the Victorious intro mimics by showing some random people for Artists of the Year in a basically identical shot. Also, the Help journal is down to the detail the same exact journal in both the episode and the movie. Finally, the Vote for Prom Queen poster, shown vandalized with silver paint, is in both the original film and the episode. That's already a lot of Breakfast Club references, and no one has even had a chance to speak yet. So we find out that all the kids have detention on a Saturday because Robbie made them late for class by choking on a pretzel.
If you hadn't made us late for class, we wouldn't be here.
I was choking on a pretzel. Well, why you always gotta be choking on something?
Come on now, that's a dick joke. I know it is. Honestly, kinda weird how you know within the first minute of the episode what the crime was for them to all get detention. When in the original film, it slowly revealed one by one what each of them did to earn detention throughout the film, which was kind of interesting. And could have been funny here too if they did it in a clever way, but whatever, I guess. Also, this has always bothered me. Those are 6 different lockers, and they're all decorated with just one piece of artwork. Did 6 different students decide to just share an aesthetic? How did that work? The vice principal walks over, parodying Vice Principal Vernon from the original film, except here he's named Mr. Dickers. And he is not a character in any other episodes. He's never seen or ever mentioned outside of this one appearance, which is kind of weird since the principal is a recurring character, and it leaves me wondering if Mr. Dickers is actually canonically their vice principal, or, again, if this episode is just a weird fever dream that does not count as canon. He walks over saying something kind of sus.
Morning, Wazbags!
In the Dan Schneider universe, the word waz means piss. Jane Lynch says, I need to go take a waz as Sam's mom when they're stuck together.
But what if I gotta take a waz?
There's a bathroom right behind you.
So he basically just called the children all piss bags? He tells them to get their asses to the library for detention. Then once they're in the library, he says it's 7:06 a.m., which is a reference to the exact time detention started in the original film.
Well, well. It's 7:06 a.m. here in Los Angeles.
It is now 7:06.
In the movie, Bender, the criminal, spits in the air and catches it in his own mouth. In the episode, Jade spits gum in the air and it lands in Rex's mouth. Then Vice Principal Dickers goes around collecting everyone's cell phones. One of the few things that happens in this episode that didn't happen in the original film, Mr. Dickers sarcastically calls Tori Princess.
What, princess?
Which is what Claire was nicknamed and typecasted as in the original film. Why does the audio get weird as hell for a second when Robbie complains the tuna isn't refrigerated?
Technically, sir?
I'd love to know. Also, Kat's seen wearing a puffy winter jacket as a reference to the basket case Allison and her puffy jacket in the original film, but why does Kat have to wear short shorts with it? Those shorts are so short that if I was wearing them, my cock and balls would be hanging loose.
All right, not another word!
Word.
That's it, West.
Look, Jade is the best character on this show, hands down. That's pretty funny. Also, she gets more and more detentions at it the more she backtalks the vice principal, which is a direct reference to how Bender gets detention after detention in the original film. Tori gets roped into getting more and more detentions too, and Kat says, Tori, and then mouths the word stop, which is a reference to how Claire mouths stop to Bender during the same scene in the original film.
That's 4. You want 5?
Yes?
Okay, Vega, you just got 5.
Tori.
You want another one? Yes. You got it. You got another one right there. That's another one, pal.
Cut it out.
VP Dickers then parodies a line from the original Vice Principal Vernon. You mess with the bull, you get the horns. But in this version, he says, you mess with the cow, you get the udders. And to be quite frank, I kinda like the new version better. After the Vice Principal leaves the room in the original film, Bender screams after him, fuck you! Which is referenced in the Victorious episode by Tori screaming, forget you, after the Vice Principal leaves. Ah yes. The CeeLo Green censored version. Classic. It's also interesting here that Jade was the one parodying Bender's lines earlier in the scene, but with Tori screaming forget you, it switches to her as the one playing Bender's role. And this keeps happening throughout the entire rest of the episode. Instead of each kid being assigned a role from the movie to parody, they kind of all hop around and mix which character they're parodying from scene to scene. Once they're left alone, the kids all start doing random things instead of talking to each other, which is a nod to the instrumental part with no talking in the original film, where the kids do various things to keep themselves entertained. Andre flossing his teeth is a nod to the jock Andy pulling his jacket strings back and forth. In the film, basket case Allison disgustingly and famously makes a drawing with her own dandruff, and this is shown in the episode as Kat instead putting sparkles on her head, then shaking them off onto the picture. Also, where did Tori get the equipment to make balloon animals? Andre can be seen stretching in the corner like Andy does in the original movie, and Jade is then seen ripping pages out of a notepad, which is a nod to Bender ripping pages out of a book. Jade starts hassling Kat and calling her out because she's never eaten a taco before and asks her if she's a vegan in front of everyone, directly parodying all Bender's lines from the original film where he verbally abuses the Princess Claire for being a virgin.
I've seen finger gestures from such a pristine girl.
Not that pristine. Our pristine little friend Kat has never had a taco. Not that pristine.
Are you a virgin?
Are you a vegan?
And I gotta be honest, this scene makes me feel super uncomfortable because it's not subtle at all. It's clearly referencing Claire being harassed in the original film for being sexually inexperienced. And that just doesn't feel right to me on a kid's show. I don't know. Not every scene from the R-rated movie needs to be adapted into the parody version that's on a kid's network. They could have shown some restraint. Tori stands up for Kat and tells Jade to leave her alone, which is a nod to the jock Andy in this scene from the original movie. And in the film, Andy says to Bender, there's gonna be 2 hits, me hitting you and you hitting the floor. Tori instead stands up to Jade by saying, 2 clicks, 1 to unfriend you, and 1 to confirm that I really wanna unfriend you. And since Tori brought up the slap, I gotta point out that this is only the 2nd episode ever in the series where Tori is not seen posting a dumbass status update on the slap. And that's only because Mr. Dickers took all their cell phones. Tori is a social media addict, and it's really not okay. Also, please, just put yourself in the shoes of someone who hasn't seen the original film for a second. You'd be wondering what the hell Tori just said. What kind of threat was that? If I didn't know the line was a direct parody of the 2 hits line, I'd be thinking, what the actual hell is this? Andre tries to break the tension by saying, come on guys, let's just all get some tacos. But if we're sticking to the tacos equals virginity metaphor established earlier in the scene, I guess he's suggesting some group sex?
Come on, y'all. How we gonna get some tacos?
I could call Trina, ask her to pick some up and leave them in my locker.
You're so conceited, Tori. You're so conceited.
Robbie crying for no reason and calling Tori conceited is so out of nowhere and caught me so off guard that it's actually funny as hell. I mean, sure, this exact line is from the original film when the nerd Brian says, you're so conceited, Claire, but he says it at a time when it makes perfect sense within the context of the film. Claire had just told him that she couldn't possibly be seen talking to him in front of all her popular friends, but in this scene, Tori did nothing to deserve that reaction from Robbie. And again, it's just kind of hilarious how out of place it is. Also, why is there a pencil in the pencil sharpener behind Robbie? Who sharpens a pencil and halfway through, oh, I don't need that anymore, he walks away. Cut to Trina sneaking around the hallways with a bag of tacos. And really, why would Trina come here on a Saturday just to drop off some tacos for everyone? Isn't that kind of out of character for her to be so nice and helpful to Tori for nothing in return? Also, how did Tori even contact Trina to ask her to bring the tacos? I thought he took all their cell phones away. How the hell did Tori call her? It's never explained. Next, we get a parody of the kids running through the hallway scene from the original movie. Except here, their goal is to go get those tacos. And in the original, Bender's goal was to go get that ganja from his locker. Once they get the bag of tacos from Tori's locker, Robbie asks Kat, the girl has tacos. Do you approve of this? Which is the same line said by the nerd Brian in the original film. The boy has marijuana. Do you approve of this? And just like Allison from the Breakfast Club, Kat says nothing. The kids run into a bunch of wet floor signs, completely stopping them all in their tracks, parodying the blocked path in the original film. And the kids realize Mr. Dickers is hot on their trail, and they're all gonna get caught. Robbie says, we're dead, and Tori says, no, just me. Which those 2 lines are directly taken from Brian and Bender word for word in the original film.
We're dead. No. Just me. We're dead.
No, just me.
I also gotta point out here that Robbie's shirt says Neo Maxi Zoom Dweeby, which is a line said by Bender to insult the nerd Brian in the original film.
We're a Neo Maxi Zoom Dweeby.
So Tori shoves the bag of tacos into Robbie's crotch, referencing how Bender stashes his bag of marijuana in Brian's underwear. And then Tori runs off, singing loudly through the hallways to draw all of the attention to herself, so the others can sneak away quietly. This entire sequence parodies Bender in the original film, running through the hallway singing, I want to be an airborne ranger. Except Tori sings the Victorious theme song instead. But otherwise, everything everything's exactly the same. So the vice principal catches Tori, of course, and I gotta be honest, him telling her she's in trouble for singing off key is pretty funny.
You're in big trouble, Vega.
For what?
For leaving the library, skinny jeans, and singing off key.
He takes her into the closet, which I know is a reference to the original movie when Bender gets locked inside the closet by Vice Principal Vernon, but it kind of feels extremely inappropriate for a grown man who is an authoritative figure to trap a helpless young teenage girl inside a closet with him. Sus! He tells Tori to pop a pimple on his arm, gross, and she refuses, just as Bender refused to throw a punch at Vernon in the closet in the original. Both vice principals say, "That's what I thought," and Tori ends up getting locked in the closet just like Bender was. And of course, she escapes by climbing through the ceiling, just like Bender did. And she then meets up with the rest of the group. We get another weird scene where tacos once again seem to represent virginity. Jade calls out Kat for not eating her taco and calls her a vegan. And when she's called out for being mean, Jade says, "I'm just being honest," which references a line Claire says in the original film when she says that she wouldn't be seen hanging out with Brian and gets called out for being a bitch. To which she defends herself by saying, "I'm just being honest." The scene keeps going, and this time Kat and Robbie are both being called out for being taco virgins.
We have another vegan among us.
This references how in the original, Bender asks Brian if he's ever done it. When asked, "Ever lay anyone around here?" Brian gestures towards Claire, implying that he's fucked her. And in this kid-friendly version, Jade asks Robbie, "Ever had a taco around here?" And he points to Tori. He then gets called out for lying about eating a taco with Tori, just as the original Brian gets called out for pointing to Claire as a sexual partner. So in the original film, Brian explains he only gestured towards Claire because he didn't want her knowing he was a virgin. And in the episode, Robbie says he only pointed at Tori because he didn't want her to know he was a vegan. They barely even changed the script. And again, it feels weird. The original is an R-rated movie that openly discusses the themes of teenager sexualities. But this is kind of a kid's show. And I don't know, I feel just a bit uncomfortable with how on the nose it is. Somehow, the taco sex metaphor randomly changes into tacos representing weed instead. Andre says, "This taco's got me pumped!" Then, Andre starts dancing around and stripping. And honestly, he's breaking it down because one day he knows he's gonna be a Grammy Award-winning artist, free from the greasy mitts of Dan Schneider. This scene is a direct reference to the jock Andy running all around stripping and dancing because he's feeling fucking lit after smoking a big fat one. Did that bird just fucking explode? In the original, it's glass shattering, not animal death, and no one even reacted. What kind of alternate reality does this episode take place in? Then, we're back to the taco eating smoke circle metaphor. In the Breakfast Club, Brian bites at the smoke cloud, and in the episode, Robbie bites at the taco the same way. And dang, Kat is getting a little cozy with Beck here. Her legs are on top of his while he's just feeding her. Isn't Jade supposed to be violently jealous of him at all times? What's going on here? Kat starts coughing after having too much hot sauce, and Robbie says, "Chicks can't hold they hot sauce," which is a reference to Brian saying chicks can't hold their smoke. That's what it is. Bender also slaps Brian when he reaches out for a high five, and Jade does the same thing to Tori, who's wearing the same indoor sunglasses that Brian wears in the smoking scene. So that means both Tori and Robbie are parodying the same character, nerdy smoking Brian, in this scene. They all keep laughing at absolutely nothing. There's no jokes. I know they felt dumb as hell filming these scenes, cause what even is this? Sure, in the original film, they're high, but in this PG version, all they did was eat some tacos. Nobody's consumed drugs canonically, so all the random laughter just kind of makes no sense, and honestly pisses me off. Cut to everyone sitting in a circle having a heart-to-heart with the stupidest dialogue possibly ever written by man.
When you get old, your butt sags.
and you can't find your pants.
The line Jade says, "When you get old, your butt sags," is a parody of Allison saying in the original film, "When you get old, your heart dies," by the way. But that's no excuse, it's still not funny. Andre shares with the group that he feels a lot of pressure with his music to be the best. And this parallels Andy's emotional speech to the others about how his dad expects him to be the best at sports.
Win! Win!
You gotta be number one! Number one!
And what's Tori's response? Completely ignoring Andre opening up and immediately making it about herself.
I have a weird talent.
So conceited, Tori.
And honestly, Robbie is actually right this time. Your friend opens up to you about something emotional, and that's your response, Tori? Self-centered as hell. But also, Tori bringing up her hidden talent is a reference to Claire in the original film, saying she has a special talent, and then doing the weird lipstick boob trick. Tori just does it abruptly and out of nowhere because unlike the movie, which has time for each scene to breathe, this episode shoves in every reference possible in rapid-fire speed without caring too much if it actually makes any sense for the plot. And this part is definitely Dirty Dan's favorite moment in the episode. Tori whips out her feet, and the bow and arrow is just right there? Does she just carry that on her at all times? Jade then randomly yells at Tori, parodying Claire getting verbally abused for having a rich dad in the original film, but it makes no sense at all here after the bow and arrow thing. They didn't even try to create any context at all where this yelling makes even a lick of sense. Beck even says, "I'm sorry, did I miss something?" Basically, the episode acknowledging that the plot makes no sense because they just need to bounce from reference to reference at lightning speed. Tori says, "Shut up," repeatedly as Jade berates her, parodying Claire saying the same thing to Bender when he goes on and on about her daddy. Andre yells that they're all under too much pressure, and then Kat starts giggling for no reason whatsoever, and everyone else just decides it's time to laugh too? What? They go from angry at each other to crying to laughing so quickly. What is this? What am I watching here? Also, Robbie low-key grabs Tori's ass, then he blows raspberries on her stomach. It's a little weird, right? We get another dance sequence parodying the famous dance scene from the original movie, and the boys' crotches are so close to each other when they're dancing on the table. I know it's a reference, but Robbie's ass is literally up against Beck's cock and balls. Jade also does the same exact moves that Basket Case Allison does in the film during this dance. Then, the boys straighten Robbie's hair, parodying Allison getting a makeover from Claire in the original film. And just like in the film, he asks, "Why are you guys being so nice to me?" And Beck says, "Because you're letting us."
Why are you guys being so nice to me? Because you're letting us.
Why are you being so nice to me? You're letting me.
So in this scene, Robbie is Allison and Beck is Claire? Wild. Also, brother looks like trash. Why did the woo sound effect go off? He looks like garbage. Though, to be fair, I also kind of thought Basket Case Allison didn't look that good after the makeover either. I was kind of into the whole goth look. Also, in the film, Allison asking Claire, "Why are you being so nice to me?" makes sense, because the two of them aren't friends. But if we're talking victorious canon here, Robbie asking the same question to Andre and Beck makes no sense, because they are literally his closest guy friends. Again, this episode as its own canon thing makes no sense. And now they're just all leaving? And for some reason, the random panda from I Party with Victorious says goodbye to them on their way out, which is definitely never explained. And, oh God, dear God, no. I really didn't need Tori's cover of Don't You Forget About Me to come back again. I don't want to be mean, but it's just not not good. The original song is iconic. This cover, frankly, well, it's an abomination. The kids leave a note for the vice principal just like in the original film, even though they weren't assigned writing an essay during detention like the kids were in the original film. They just wrote a note for fun, I guess. Kat gives Robbie some chewed up gum and romantically closes his hand around it, parodying Claire gifting her diamond earring to Bender in the original film. But why did Robbie have to chew the gum? Robbie then bikes away. You know what? No. This has gone too far. It's explicitly stated that Robbie doesn't know how to ride a bike in season 2, episode 2. Beck falls for Tori.
Bike riding is a special skill. Who can't ride a bike?
Take a guess. Can you keep any secret?
And this show needs to respect its own lore and continuity. I'm pissed. I don't care if you say he learned how to ride a bike. He didn't. He didn't. There's even a reference in the final shot of the episode where Tori reaches for a balloon after accidentally releasing it. Kind of looks like she's punching the air just like Bender does in the ending freeze frame of the movie. Literally, from opening frame to the ending of the episode, it's all references. And again, for any kids who never saw the original R-rated movie and just saw this episode on Nickelodeon, they had to have had no idea what the hell was going on. Honestly, maybe this should have been a 45-minute length special episode. Because if you just look at the plot as its own thing, then this shit made absolutely no sense. The plot, if you can even call it that, was so rushed and stupid and pointless. It was cool for what it was. I respect how jam-packed it was with endless references, but as its own complete story and episode, there can only be one word that describes it. Trash. But enough of me yapping. What do you guys think of the Breakfast Bunch? Let me know how you're feeling in the comments, and let's kick it. And as always, a huge, massive, throbbing shout out to all the channel and Patreon members. You guys put the wood in Hollywood arts for me, if you know what I'm saying. I'm grateful for every single one of you, and words can never describe it properly. If you're still here, maybe consider subscribing or checking out some other videos. I think that'd be dope. All right, thanks for listening.